Everybody, welcome to another episode of Movers and Shakers of Paarl / Wellington. I'm super excited to speak to my guest. I've got Jeremeo Cordeur here. Why Jeremeo is here? He caught my attention on his social media. He just came back from a 3-month stint in the UK, where he was selected to represent South Africa at the you say it?
European Voluntary Service Programme.
European Voluntary Service Programme.
Made possible by Artscape. Let's just give them some recognition there.
Yeah. So Jeremeo is from Wellington, and I just wanted to find out a bit about him. He's also the founder of a non-profit organization or non-profit company called Vulture Productions. He can tell us a bit more about that. And then finally, he was also part of Zan News. I didn't know that.
Yes, that was a few years ago.
I stalked the guests. So I also want to hear a bit more about that. But Jeremeo, thanks for meeting with me.
No, welcome. Nice little get up you've got going here. Lekker, man. Wow, you guys should see.
Dude, tell me, so let's start. Born and bred in Wellington, went to school. How was the childhood?
Yes,
easy,
Wellington,
difficult?
all the way. I must admit I was a very weird child.
Okay.
Because that's where the accent comes from, by the way. A lot of people are like, why does he talk so fancy English? That's actually because I never went anywhere. I grew up in the house and I watched a lot of TV.
Oh, right.
That's where that came from.
Okay.
But I was a very introverted sort of child, sort of very like, just weird, man. I was into like storytelling and I was into creating my own stories and weird little things. So I suppose if you look at that from like a 6-7-year-old's perspective, then he's doing a lot of weird imaginary games and storytelling stuff. And I was just a weird kid, and obviously because of that, growing up like that in a colored community, jy ken mos deesdae, die kinders ook nie ken nie, dan bly hulle maar weg, of hulle maak gat daarvan, of they sport. So obviously I dealt with a lot of bullying stuff as well. So because of that, I was just very sort of subverted, and I just grew up I had my television and my Power Rangers and my stuff. But yeah, for the most part, my upbringing in Wellington was St. Albans Primary School, and then after St. Albans, I went to Bergervier.
Oh, so some opposite each other.
Yeah, just right across the road. I went to Bergervier School, so there I was. And high school was also very interesting because over there, toen ons nou nog die drama groepe gehad het. I mean, wow, the kids from today, like, I really wish I could actually go back in time, relive my high school just to feel what it's like to be part of a drama group in high school, because we didn't have that. They didn't even have a subject or anything like that at all. So it was really, again, up to my own imagination to kind of make it happen, which I did, because I became known as that guy who would do stuff at assemblies, the onderwysers, then they come and ask me to do stuff at like, if they wanted to have like a message or something, they would come to me to write a play or to put something together, and then I think that's why I would even recruit people. I would be like, jy gaat in my play wees, so kom sê dit, hy's jou karakter, and that's how I started. I suppose that's when I first started doing what I do. And obviously I did that at family gatherings as well. Whenever all the cousins would get together, I would be the one person to say like, ons gaan vir almal 'n play, ons gaan in 5 minute vir almal 'n play doen. You're gonna play that character of Evil Javies and whatever. And we would actually do that with my little cousins and props that we would find around the house. We would do a little play, and that's where it started. So I knew from a young age that clearly I love just telling stories and creating characters and seker maar vir myself inleef as ander mense. I really like that, and everybody knew that about me as well. I think everybody who grew up with me, they just know that that's what I like. So it comes as no surprise that this is what I do, you know. And then when I finished high school at Bergervier, I went to City Varsity. I did professional acting, and they did. It consists like a whole bunch of stuff. It's not just acting. It's like we also did a bit of directing. We did a bit of writing. You did a bit of
all creative
things. So you do acting on camera versus acting on stage, because they're two very different things. And I suppose that's where the molding and the training and the shaping and the discipline. I suppose that's where that sort of came from. So and after that, I jumped into the industry
and started hustling at an early age.
And that's where I am today.
Yeah, so I see in your bio, you actor, you a director, and you a art photographer. So what is art photography?
Arts photography, it's just mostly, it's what it says, it's photography within the arts.
Okay.
Photography is something I've always been very passionate about from a young age. I've always been very interesting. Whenever somebody around me would have a camera, or I would want to know, like, how are you taking the photo? What are you doing?
Yeah.
I was just very curious and interested about that. And then I met a few years ago, I met a very good friend of mine, Warren Mayer.
Okay.
And he ended up, funny story, he phoned me one day to buy tickets for one of my shows.
Wow, nice.
Randomly.
Yeah.
Had a show, bookings, it calls, hey, I want to book tickets for your show. And I'm like, cool, and I book, and then I asked him obviously for his email, and I checked in his email, and I was like, photography, you're a photographer? And he's like, yes, he is. And I was like, oh, wow. I need photos for the show. And that's how I made that connection. He ended up taking photos for the show, and we ended up becoming such good friends that he ended up being the one to train me in photography as well. Okay. And he eventually opened a studio in Cape Town, and I sort of managed the studio for like a year and a half before it closed down.
Okay.
So I ended up getting photography training in an untraditional way. It's not like I studied or anything, but I trained hands-on with him, and I assisted him on like countless stuff.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about Vulture Productions.
Vulture Productions.
Yeah, why Vulture? Yeah. What is that?
A lot of people ask me that. They're like, why?
Because Vulture's like...
I must admit, that's also, I love anti-cliches. I hate I'm attracted to anything that's different. The more different it is, the more unique it is, you'll get my attention immediately. I just hate cliches because I believe in owning your individuality, because no person is really that alike. We all have that one thing that sets us apart from the other thing, and I'm that person that I like to look for that one thing. What makes you you know? And the thing is with me, when you think about the vulture, you think, ugliness, blood, guts, whatever. But in this country, if you really think about it, the vulture is a perfect metaphor for an artist.
Okay.
Because we have to work with what we have.
Okay.
As an artist, you really have to you hustle. You really have to sometimes create stuff where there's otherwise nothing. You gotta just make things happen with what you have, because you don't always have the opportunities. Especially in this country, and funding and stuff and festivals, there's only a certain amount of opportunities and stuff available, which is great, but it's not enough to serve everybody. So a large part of being an artist means that you really have to work with what you have, because you won't always have the budget, you won't always have the 5 actors you would like to use, but as an artist, your number one job is to create. So you got to create your own things, but you use what you have.
True. So I see it's a NPO. So just tell me what's behind it.
It became, when I first started with Vulture, like in 2010, it was more of just a name. You know, when I did my own shows, I didn't want to slap my own personal. I didn't want it to be Jeremeo presents. I just didn't see it happening.
JLC.
I wanted it to have meaning. I wanted it to be something that could mean something in the future. Nice. That was my sort of vision, you know? So I did a few shows, and I started off with a few of my own. And then an interesting thing happened. People started to reach out. You know, like, I didn't think of it like that, but then people started asking, but how did you do? Just, I suppose, my overall philosophy. I suppose it is what makes me me. I believe in, if you want to make something happen, work with what you have. If you don't have the money, what do you got? You got this? Cool. You got a couch?
Yeah.
Let's make that work.
Okay, cool.
It's just 100%. My own philosophy. So over time, a lot of people just sort of gravitated towards me and wanted to know, but how can you do that for me? How can, don't you want to help me do that? Or how can you, seems like a lot of people just, a lot of them really wanted clarity on just the how to or the know-how. And that's when I realized that there's potential here for this to be a lot bigger than just my own selfish thing, to make my own thing. So I decided, hey, as vultures, anyway, we want to work with what we have. Part of working with what we have is working with the people that we have access to or around us, or people that's willing, or, you know what I mean? It can expand. And that's when I started branching out in sort of like an NPO status, so that it can give me the platform to do that, so that I now can help other people with their stuff.
What's the dream for Vulture Productions? What's the end goal?
I would love to be able to do what we do, but actually have the resources and actual funding to be able to not just make a show happen for an artist, but to also give them that sense of remuneration and
Okay.
security.
Okay.
I suppose I want the NPO to be at a stage where it can actually develop shows, but at the same time develop artists as well.
Nice.
If you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
Like I want somebody to
totally.
be able to come to me with a play, but we do the play, but I also want the company to be able to say, but hey, here's a budget for your play. I'm going to employ you to do your play. That's, I would say, would be the end goal.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's not just about making money or having the money to make stuff happen, but to also, I suppose, like you said, create this platform that still promotes at the end of the day what I just said, working what you have. If I end up having all of this money, I'm just not going to throw it all at you.
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
actually going to challenge you to see what you bring to the table without the money.
Nice.
It's like what, for lack of a better phrase, it's like what, you know, I'm going to make a comic book, I'm such a big comic book fan, I'm going to make a reference. At like the end of the Spider-Man Homecoming movie, when Tony Stark takes Spider-Man's suit away and he's like, if you want nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it.
Correct.
You know, and at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I see. I really see it being, and I suppose I'm also working towards it being my own sort of safe haven at the end of the day. When I can retire, I can run Vulture. I can be Stanley.
Well, while you're on Stanley, so I also watch Marvel movies.
I'm such a big fan.
What's your philosophy? Where did those people disappear to? What's your story?
Some of them's gonna come back.
Hey?
Not all of them. Not all of them.
Where did they go to?
Are permanent. I actually do think they went somewhere. There's this theory that they all went through. What's the planet called? Hell or something, where apparently Hela is, because at the end of Thor Ragnarok, she also kind of dies, but she's the goddess of death,
100%.
and she's supposed to re-emerge. There's a lot of theory going around there. Wherever she is, I don't know, the planet has a name or something. It has a pun to it, kind of like nowhere. There's a planet.
Okay, we're on
but
the same.
There's a theory that they are definitely somewhere.
Okay,
they didn't just. Well, they did, but.
Tell me, so you went to the UK? Why? How did this happen? Why are you getting such an awesome opportunity?
It's all through Artscape. I'm really fortunate that I've had a lot of my shows at Artscape. Some of my first, actually. I've been one of those people. Back in 2011, I sort of just went in there and I asked them, I have a show. Can I have a space? Can I?
What? Wait. So you had a show? You knocked on the
door? That's like my way back. Jesus, I don't want to sound too
like
old.
You're 40.
But that was 2011, and I had a show at the time that I've done before, and I was trying to get the show on its feet.
Wow.
Actually, funny story. That show that I did over there, I funded that show. I asked my parents to not give me a 21st birthday party. I said, "Can you rather give me the money you would have spent?"
No, dude.
They were a bit hesitant. They were a bit like, you know, I just couldn't understand. Maybe it's also because of the kind of person that I was. I suppose if I had a group of friends and I wanted, then I would have wanted to have that. But I was more, hey man, I've been telling stories since I was how old? So for me, it was like I just want.
Yeah.
Gimme. Let me do. And then they gave me a small. Back then, they gave me about 10,000 rand, and I used that to fund my first show. And
dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then I did it once at a small little theater at the UCT campus.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I was like, where can I do it now? Because I also don't believe in doing a show once.
Yeah.
A lot of shows, they sort of, you know, they get born and they breathe and they live and then they die at a festival. You don't ever see them again. Some brilliant stuff. Yeah. So I believe in, if you create something, share it. Show us. Show us more than once. You know, a movie lasts forever.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so I really wanted to do the show again, and at the time I'd learned all about Marlene, and Marlene being from Wellington as well. She wasn't the CEO at the time. Yeah. She was in audience development, and I really sort of reached out to her, but I asked her for what can I do? How can I? And she really helped me. She said, like, if this is what you're passionate about, then these are the people that you need to speak to. Wow. These are the people that you need to contact. And I contacted them.
Dude, but that's like the ultimate hustle. You see, you went to go knock on the door.
I did, yeah.
That's the ultimate hustle. I mean, that's amazing.
So I knocked on the door, and then they really had a lot of faith in me, and they gave me my first sort of booking, and then I did the show.
Well, okay, but explain this the scenario now. So you have a production, and you go to the door and you say, "Hi, my name is, and I want to have a production. Can I please put it on stage?" Is that how it goes?
It doesn't always work like that. Okay. Obviously, you have to send them detailed information. Cool. Okay. You can't go to Artscape with an idea. Yeah. So the fact that I've done the show already and that finished product was done already, and I actually had a script and I had the actors, and they could see that it's been done before, that I just needed a bigger stage.
Nice.
So I suppose that made it a lot easier.
Yeah.
But when you do go to them, you go through let's just call it a screening process. They really check, who are you, what have you done, can we, because I suppose they also have a brand and they also have
we
stuff
may take
to
more
uphold.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did my show there. And then that's when it started. After that, I suppose the bug bit me. Then I was like, oh, that was great.
So you had a show, audience came
Did it? Audience, a show called Dress to Impress.
Right. You played in it as well?
I was in it as well at the
nice.
time. Yes, I did it with a wonderful cast, which a lot of them are still really great friends today.
Nice.
Wow, when I think back now, talk about trial and error. Hey? But hey, bietjie nat agter die ore moes gewees.
Of course, yeah.
So, and that's when that's when the bug bit me. So then it was just a matter of keeping it up. Then I really, after the one show, then I suppose it becomes up to networking. You get to know the people who's working.
Yeah.
Get to know Janine in HR. Let's call it that.
100%.
Get to know her.
Exactly. Finance. Get
to know the people. So that's what I did. So eventually I got to know the people. I still know my way. I just know who works where, and I know who to talk to and who to play who to.
Isn't it weird? Like you say, your personality is you don't want to be around people, but your craft
forces you. I must admit, sometimes I am that living contrast, that paradox. Like
you leave the house and you put on your cape, and then
I promise you, sometimes when I get home at night, it's like. It's just I think for a large part the way I grew up the way that I did, it's also because of, I suppose, the bullying and the stuff. I suppose there are certain reasons why you end up the way that you do, and I do believe as adults at the end of the day you are still that little boy or that little girl in all of us. So I guess I'm also in many ways still that little boy, but I must admit I have been making a conscious effort to sort of, especially in the UK, to really push myself because I want to networking is important.
But that's but I'm saying that it's so weird. It's like inside you don't list.
I promise you, sometimes I'm a weird person. Sometimes I get really weird in networking situations. Sometimes people come and then they talk and I'm just like, I have no idea what to say. And then I'm just like, and I just don't know. Like, sometimes I must admit, I look at other people and I really admire certain people. They have that
bubble.
Certain people just have that thing, man. They just can go up to whoever and for they in there. I'm just like, how do you do that?
True.
I'm just not. I suppose I don't always speak people, so I'm very much for anybody who like wants to really approach me and stuff. Like, I just like, I'm like, I lack basic people skills. We were on Artscape. Yes, and that's why I started my journey. I did the one show there, and basically, long story short, that one show led to another show, led to another show, led to another show. So I ended up having shows consistently at Artscape across like a certain amount of years, building up quite a relationship with them. And
do you have to pay for Artscape if you want to put?
Yeah, you do.
All right, cool.
Not always. But it depends. It really depends. And basically, it comes down to the business. There were times where I did have to pay because you got to also realize Artscape is a building. They got to pay the electricity. They got to pay the lights and the stuff and the And then there are other times when a show that I did show so well that Artscape itself was like, we really like that. Bring it back. Here's the money to do it.
Nice.
So that is also possible. Cool. So it's like a give and receive. Sometimes you pay, sometimes they like what you do, and then they invite you, and it's just like I believe in give and receive. You can't net wel nooit kry nie. Like you gotta. It's a two-way thing, you know. So I basically built up a nice relationship with them, and then last year I saw this. They had a thing on their social media. They made an announcement, and they said you can apply for this thing, and they obviously said what the program was. It was a residency program. They said what kind of people they were looking for and what you're going to have to be doing. And I remember looking at it and I just went like, that's me.
Nice.
That's me. And that's what I did. I did the application. A friend of mine helped me with the application as well. And I just filled in the things and I did the things. And then about a month later, they phoned me for an interview.
And also helps that you have a relationship.
It helps that when you go in... Ik wil nog niet zeggen was voorgetrekt, nie, because I know they're also very biased. They're not, they're very
unbiased.
They're very unbiased. So, but hey, it doesn't hurt if you go for the interview and you know two people sitting there. It doesn't, not but you've worked with them and they know who you are. They know that you've done stuff.
100%.
So, yeah, there were about 4 people, and they had a panel interview, and they asked you a bunch of questions. Because you have to remember, when you're over there, you have to. Artscape is really very important to them to keep the connection that they have with that company.
Yeah.
Because this is not a once-off thing. They're going to be doing it again next year with 2 different people. They've been doing it for the last 5-6 years. Because they believe in giving equal opportunities to people within the community that would, for example, never leave the country. So that also means that no person can be selected twice.
Okay.
You know, it's like Klaar Survivor gewen, jy kan nie weer kom nie. Klaar Idols gewen, jy kan nie weer deelneem nie.
Yeah.
So they really were focused on that. So it was important then that you realize when you go over there that you're representing Artscape, and that you can nog kom met jou nonsense of met an attitude, and you really had to keep an open mind. Like any day they could ask you to do anything. It was a carnival that was very versatile with its creativity and what it does. It wasn't bound to or fixed to certain structures, and they really draw from what you as an artist have as well. So they could be asking you to do anything. Vandag gaan trek gou die costume aan en gaan perform daar, of quickly come help fix this costume. Oh, actually you need to pack out this, or anything.
But that's a cool experience.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't mind. The more I did, the more, like, everything you did was just another corner of the UK that you could go and explore. So everything that they asked me, I was like, okay, I just did it.
Wow,
and it was a lot of fun. And then they sort of, I knew last year, like December already, they were like, cool, so you've been selected. And then they selected the girl as well.
Nice.
And then we went through a couple of sessions where they obviously told us what we're going to be doing, and the long process of getting your visa and all of that stuff. And then in May we went.
First time overseas?
Yeah, it was my first time. Wellington, Boichi, first time. Yeah.
So cool.
And then we went to Liverpool, where we stayed for 3 months. An amazing city, by the way.
Did I see you celebrated your 30th birthday there?
I did, nice. Yes. That was, I really felt like that was extra special for me. The fact that, sometimes I have these moments. Sometimes I have these moments where you wake up in a completely, I don't want to call it a random place, but you just wake up at a location that you would have never thought possible.
Wow.
And in some way, or through some miracles of the universe, through you doing what you love, you landed yourself in that position.
Yes.
So I've had a few moments like that in my career. Like, there were once time when I did a theater camp out in Hermanus, and we were doing a show, and we were in this beautiful cottage, remember? We were there for this entire weekend to create like a play, literally in a weekend.
Yeah.
And we were in this beautiful cottage, and that was one of the moments where I also went like, fuck.
Wow.
This weekend, I'm in the view alone was just like,
Dream
and I was
true.
just like, doing what I love. Look where I am today. Today is amazing. Let's do the work. So in Liverpool, I felt like that was like every day for me. You wake up, my view, you open the window, and and I'm just like, I lived right in this. Yeah, you're just like,
wow.
What?
This is amazing.
So I was, to quote the girl Chanel that went with me, I was living my best life.
Yeah, for 3 months. I mean,
3 months, like it felt like you were practically living there. You could actually put on status lived in Liverpool.
Yeah, they can give you residency
they
now.
Could,
Was there ever a time when you woke up and you said, "I'm done with this hustle. I don't want to do this creative. It's too much work."
To be honest, I think it's a large. It goes hand in hand with just what this job is. I think it's something every artist struggles with, especially in this. Yeah. I actually think it's everywhere. I think all artists struggle with that unless you are like, I don't know, like a famous A-list actor or something. Yeah. But it's just sometimes it goes well. You'll have the job, you'll have the role, you'll get the ad, you'll do the thing, you'll buy the card. It will just be lekker. But there will just be days when that's not the case, where it's winter and the jobs are not as consistent, or jy moet maar nou mooi werk met jou geld to survive on the days where you don't have an income. So you remember the give and receive. 100%. So there are good days, and then there are bad days where you're like, oh gosh, I just wish I had a salary every month. But I think for me, I've made peace with it a long time ago, that given what I do and I love what I do, and I'm somebody who does multiple things. I don't just do one thing.
Diversify.
So I've made peace with the fact that I'm just gonna become this working. That's why I'm saying my goal overall is to becoming a working artist or a working creative, so that you do what you do. But in this country, you can't just, if you want to be an actor, you can't just act. you can't just do this one thing. That's why I've linked it to the best of my ability, performance, link it to my directing, link it to the photography, link everything, basically everything that you are good at, you have to sort of link it and find a way to capitalize on that, because to be a sustainable working creative, you have to have an income
100%.
from multiple sources.
Okay. So what's your 5-year plan? Where do you see yourself?
So I'm working on getting 2
Okay.
shows on its feet at the moment to do
Nice.
just that.
Nice.
The one show is called Jerry, an
Okay.
unconventional hero. And that show, it's basically me in a nutshell.
Is it like a single man?
It's a one-man show.
Wow,
It's-
dude, nice.
It's not like a stand-up. It's like
Yeah.
a show. It's like a one-man show. I tell a story. I do things. I play 4 characters. So it's not stand-up. It's like I actually play the characters and stuff. And what I mean by it's me in a nutshell, it's the kind of characters that I would like to play. It's because in this industry as well, another thing that's going on is that especially our people of color, we're being typecast in a way. That's why you see the same colored actor play the same kind of roles. And I want our people to sort of, especially youngsters, I want us to stop seeing ourselves in that mold, man. We can play any character, regardless of our skin color, regardless of the fact that you come from the Cape Flats. You can play, you should be able to play any character. And I really believe in that.
Nice,
So
man.
I created characters that I just really wanted to sort of challenge myself as well. It's not just about, ek gaan dit speel, want ek gaan lekker wees. I also wanted to challenge myself, man.
Yeah.
Play characters that I couldn't, but knew that I could if I really applied myself.
Okay.
So I sort of created the show and this heightened story. It's based somewhat on some reality, but I just really take it a little bit out of proportion and really I added a hell of a lot of fiction to it.
Yeah.
But like I said, in a nutshell, it's the kind of performer that I am. It's the kind of stories I would like to tell. It's got a comic book feel to it. It's a very
Nice.
comic book superhero, but not a superhero kind of story.
Unconventional superhero.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we do embrace the whole unconventional as a
Okay.
theme.
So what's the timeline for this? When we?
I'm currently in rehearsal with that because I'm
Nice.
working on a showcase.
Okay.
And I'm that show along with another one. Now, in that show, I play 4 characters.
Yeah.
One is obviously Jerry, the main
Yeah.
character. Another one is that character's brother,
Okay.
Dean.
Yeah.
Right?
All right.
So that brother, he's got a show by himself as well that runs alongside Jerry, like a
Wow.
double,
Okay.
like my own
Yeah.
Marvel universe
Yeah,
kind of
100%.
thing. and that show is called Dude Was My Bucky.
Nice.
And that's the Cape Colored show I told you about.
Yeah.
That show, whereas Jerry is very sort of Marvel comic booky English dialect,
Wow,
lekker mooi
sounds
goed.
cool. Yeah.
The Bucky show it really focuses on my Cape Colored upbringing.
Okay.
And it focuses on the Cape Winelands as a whole already because that's where that play is set. Because the 2
Nice.
characters, they're also stepbrothers and they only met each other when they were 10 years old. So they had very different backgrounds because that allows me to focus on the 2 different kind of colored you get. You get your Afrikaans en as jy mos nou Kaapse kant toe ry, dan kry jy mos nou jou Engelse sprekende. And there's a different even if you look at the different communities that we have. Ons praat anders Afrikaans hier in die Paarl as wat hulle in die Mitchells Plain praat.
Correct.
So I really chose to focus on the Boland to keep it Cape Wineland,
Nice.
Stellenbosch, Pinel, Paarl, Wellington.
Yeah.
I really wanted to sort of keep it that.
Yeah.
And my bakkie was actually mos gesteel geweest by Baxter Theatre. Went to Baxter Theatre, love Baxter Theatre.
Yeah.
Everything was great. I parked in the street just outside.
Yeah.
Lekker show gekyk, teruggekom, bakkie
Bakkie weg.
gone.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, so if you had a billboard up on the N1, what would your message be to the world, and what's your impact you want to have on the world?
Be you for you.
Okay.
I believe in just owning your individuality, man. I think there's so many people that hide so many things about themselves that they're so scared to show certain things about themselves, but they know it on the inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just want to say, people, just do your thing. It's okay to be scared to death. It's okay to be freaking terrified, but if you're not gonna do it, then
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
It's like
Do the things. That's what I want to say.
It's like
Actually, that's what my billboard will say. Do the things. ... That ... Dot means whatever you need. Just do the things. Just get to work.
It's like the podcast I listened to this morning. It's like you must do your weirdness. Like do your that.
Yes.
Do it. And while when you do your weirdness, you're doing other people's weirdnesses.
And you become the symbol of showing other people that it's
100%.
okay to be yourself.
100%.
And like I said, I'm this weird person. Sometimes I talk and people kick me and it's like, what? It's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
It's okay.
Cool.
So that would be.
What is the billboard?
Do the things.
Do the things.
Do the things.
We'll remember that.
Would be nice. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for
chatting. No, thanks for the chat. Ek het baie gepraat.
No, it's cool, man.
Water.
I got bigger than 16 gig. If it was 16 gig, we would have stopped long ago. But
I will definitely keep you posted on. Yeah, like I said, it's a showcase.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this whole exercise is to introduce the shows. Is to show you that this is what I've been working on.
Yeah.
Because it is also taking shape.
Yeah.
Because I believe it's amazing to see you making the audience part of your process.
Correct.
And they get to see where you started to how the show's going to grow.
Correct.
And how everything.
Correct.
So this is really very much, that's why I call it a showcase.
Yeah.
Because it's not even the full version of a show. It's really is an extended trailer with the ending. You know what I mean?
No, cool.
So
nice, man.
That's what this is. And then hopefully once you hear about it, you won't stop hearing about it, because then the goal would be to progress with it while doing other stuff, obviously.
Like maybe at the ending you should have someone click their fingers and your bucky appears.
You know, just like dust. You know, like damn, that's actually
Thanks so much.
Nice, man. Thanks for the chat.